Emily. This is a story about Emily, the single Stirling engine. When she first came to the railway, some of the other engines were very unfriendly, but they soon learned that things are not always what they first appear to be. A new engine was arriving on the island of Sodor. Thomas puffed happily into Nefford Station. At the platform, there was a beautiful engine, and with shiny paintwork and gleaming brass fittings. "Thomas, meet Emily," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Hello," wheezed Thomas. "Hello," puffed Emily. "Emily, go and collect the coaches, as you can learn in the passenger route," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Yes, sir," said Emily, and she steamed away. The only coaches Emily could find were Annie and Clarabelle. Her driver hooked them up, and Emily puffed slowly and carefully along the track. Annie and Clarabelle grumbled all the way. "There will be trouble when Thomas finds out," whispered Clarabelle. But Emily couldn't understand why the coaches were so cross. He passed Edward and Percy. He whistled a friendly hello, but the engines just stared angrily at her. Emily was pleased to see Thomas puffing down the line. "Hello, Thomas," she called cheerfully, but Thomas grunting at Emily when he saw she was pulling Annie and Clarabelle. "Those are my coaches," he muttered crossly. Now Thomas was being rude at Emily. He had no idea why, and Emily had no idea why. He chuffed away, feeling very sad. Thomas was at Maidpoint Station when Sir Topham Hatt arrived. "I want you to go to the docks and pick up some special coaches," he ordered. "New coaches!" exclaimed Thomas. "But, sir—" "Really useful engines don't argue," shouted Sir Topham Hatt. Thomas was very unhappy. He didn't want new coaches. Where for him, he wanted Annie and Clarabelle back. Later that day, Emily returned to the yard. Oliver was surprised to see her pulling Annie and Clarabelle. "Those are Thomas's coaches!" he cried. No wonder he was cross," said Emily. I'll return them straight away." Meanwhile, Thomas was puffing angrily along the tracks with the new coaches. "Don't want new coaches," he chuffed. Emily was on her way back when the signalman waved her down. "Oliver hasn't cleared his box." Emily sped off to see what was wrong. Oliver had broken down on the track crossing. His driver had gone for help. Suddenly, Emily heard a whistle in the distance. Thomas was steaming along the track straight into Oliver. He would never be able to stop in time. Emily quickly charged towards Oliver and pushed him off the tracks just before Thomas came rocketing past. Emily had saved Thomas and Oliver. That evening, Sir Topham had a special surprise for her. "Emily, you were the bravest," he said. So, it gives me the pleasure to present you with 2 brand new coaches. Thank you, sir, replied Emily. Thomas, I'm sorry I took Annie and Clarabelle. And I'm sorry I was so cross, said Thomas. Emily was very happy. She had 2 beautiful new coaches and had a new friend. Later that summer, Sir Topham had opened some new routes. Emily was given the flour mill special. I have to take the Blacklock run, puffed James. He's frightened of the Blacklock monster, teased Thomas. Nonsense, said James, and he puffed away. What's the Blacklock monster? Asked Emily. Nobody knows, said Thomas. Black shapes move in the water, then disappear. Emily was glad that she didn't have to go to Blacklock. The next morning, Emily collected the trucks from the flour mill. But they were being very naughty. Emily puffed as hard as she could, but the trucks made her go very slowly. Emily was late delivering the flour, so there was no fresh bread that day. Sir Topham Hatt was cross. I don't have any toast for breakfast. If you're late again, you'll have to take the Blacklock run instead of James. I must get the flour to the bakery on time, puffed Emily. The next day, the trucks were being naughty again. Emily told them to leave before... They told Emily to leave before they were coupled properly. So half of them was left behind. The bakery manager was angry when Emily arrived. And with only half of the flour trucks, only half the flour. Emily raced back to the mill for the rest of the trucks. She was cross and shunted them with all her strength, but the trucks didn't taking their brakes off. They rolled backwards and splashed into the duck pond. Emily, he was covered in a gluey, floury mess. That evening, Sir Topham Hatt came to see her. You will have to take the Blacklock run, he shouted. It might be nice, said Thomas. It's reassuring, but Emily wasn't so sure. The next day, she puffed sadly to the station, and there were lots of excited children and holidaymakers waiting for her. I mustn't let them down, she thought, and soon she was steaming up hills and through valleys. Finally, Emily reached the murky waters of Blacklock. Suddenly, she saw something move. Her boiler quivered and her valves rattled. Then the water settled. Emily saw what the monster really was. It's a family of seals, she cried, delightedly. That evening, Emily took Thomas to watch the seals. Blacklock is a nice route after all, said Emily. Well, things aren't always what they seem, said Thomas cheerfully, and both engines smiled.